Good evening, everybody. Good evening. This is Reverend Benita Weathers with Mind the Mental Monday. I'm hoping that everybody has had a wonderful day. Hey, Michelle. Good to see you. How you doing? Um, and so as we're kind of starting to gather in this space, I'm looking forward to tonight's topic because I think it's an important one to discuss. And so I'm going to give a minute for people to sort of get in. But as people are coming in, whether you're on Facebook or Instagram, let's do our usual check-in. How you doing on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being terrible and 10 being great? Where are you? How are you tonight? How are you on this Mind the Mental Monday? And how, regardless of where you are on the scale, how are you minding your mental? Like, what has been your go-to tool for minding your mental today? What's been your go-to tool? Ooh, Michelle is at an 8. Yes. Yes, that sounds like a good place to be. Sounds like a good place to be. Are you satisfied with being at your 8? Are you okay at 8, Michelle? Um, and then also a couple of weeks ago, I had given everyone an assignment, and that assignment was to just try something new. I mean, it didn't even have to be anything radical, it didn't have to be like jumping out of a plane or something, but has anybody tried something new in the last couple of weeks? Like, tell me, what is it? What's something new that you tried, and how did it make you feel that you decided to try something new? Tell me about that. Tell me about that experience, what that was like. Now, the terrible thing is I gave the assignment, but did I do the assignment myself? Not really. I was racking my brain tonight, like trying to think of what have I done new in the last couple of weeks. Uh, and I haven't done anything new in the last couple of weeks that I can think of or tried something new. So now I'm going to have to encourage myself and challenge myself to try something new. Um, because when you try new things, sometimes it kind of gets you going. Remember that this series that I'm doing focuses on, um, you know, fear not, you can refuel after 50, right? And a lot of times we don't refuel after 50, or we don't feel like we can refuel after 50 just out of fear. The first episode in this series talked about overcoming fear. A lot of times we just think we've reached our plateau, like we can't go any higher at 50. But I know so many great people, some of whom I'm going to actually be inviting on this platform to talk about things that they've done after 50. Like, I know a lot of people that I associate with, like myself, started a business after 50, started a nonprofit after 50, started doing talking about mental health and kind of getting out there in churches to talk about mental health, and just thriving because I decided to try something new. I decided to do it scared. I had no idea what it took to run a business. I'm still learning, right? But it was something that I decided to challenge myself to do. I wrote a book. I've written 2 books, but after 50, and it was really great, to do something new. And so sometimes doing something new, even if it's something small, even if it's just like, I don't know, trying a new cuisine, trying something from a different culture. Sometimes it just lights a flame in you, right? It kind of strikes that match and kind of gives you that jolt, that boost, um, to keep going. Hey, Melaine, how are you, my dear? If y'all need a great singer to hire for a concert, Mel rocks. Yes, yes, indeed. Gospel artist. Um, and my dear Black Women in Ministry Thrive Initiative sister, Melaine Rochford. Am I saying that right? Melaine, I always wonder, am I pronouncing your name right? Is it Rochford or Rockford? I think it's Rochford, but you can correct me at some other time. um, Good to see you here. So tonight we are going to continue the overall theme of fear not, you can refuel after 50. And tonight I'm going to just talk about, we're asking the question, when was the last time you dated yourself? Now, I know that very often we use that term, ooh, I'm dating myself. And usually that means, we're coming up with references to things, like from the 70s or the 80s or the 90s. And it's like, ooh, I'm dating myself. I'm telling you, I'm telling my age just by the reference because people born after, after a certain year would not get the reference, right? So you say, I'm dating myself. But tonight, I'm talking about when was the last time that you dated yourself? In other words, when was the last time that you just spent some time with yourself? Did something fun that you like to do, did something just by yourself that you enjoy and that got something out of. And I want to thank my team and in particular, Minister Ebony, who came up with this topic. She came up with a whole lot of topics. So if y'all need topics for things, Minister Ebony is your girl. Like she she just be rattling stuff off, right? Just be rattling off topics. Because it's hard for me sometimes to like think of things to talk about. Believe it or not. Sometimes I'm good at that, and then other times I'm just like, Lord, what do you want me to say? How do you want me to, reach your people? And so so I am happy to have a team that really helps me with that, coming up with topics to talk about on Mind the Mental Monday. So, she was one this was one of the topics, when was the last time you dated yourself? And I was like, oh, that's a great topic, because a lot of times we don't necessarily think about really taking the time to spend time with our own selves, right? And I remember one time during one of my therapy sessions, my therapist asked me this question, and she said, um, "What do you like to do just for you?" And, I mean, she might as well have been like speaking, I don't know, what's a language I don't know, a whole lot of languages. She might must have been speaking Chinese, German, Mandarin or something like. I, I just couldn't answer the question, like, what do I like to do for myself? And then what I realized as I started like talking about things that I like to do for myself, they all involved like everybody else in my life, like all the other important people in my life, right? But she was like, okay, I get, you like spending time with your husband, you like, you like being with your children and your grandchildren, and you like, the stuff you do with the church and things you do in different groups that you're participating in, but what do you like to do for you? And I was just kind of like bewildered. It's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, if she's like, if you had to do something, just to do something by yourself, with yourself, what would you do? Like, what is something that you enjoy doing, like just you? And I was just like, I don't know. And it really forced me not only to try to think of like something that I would enjoy doing with just me, but it also forced me to sort of dig deeper to understand what's underlying the fact that I don't seem to be able to do things to just enjoy me, right? And so it's kind of like, what is it about me that I don't necessarily get joy out of just being with me? So it forced me into a whole nother headspace of things to sort of think about in that realm. And so, a lot of times I think that we the reason that we might not enjoy just being with ourselves sometimes is that when you're with yourself, it's like holding up a mirror in front of you where you actually have to see yourself, like where you actually have to look at yourself. And many episodes ago, we talked about doing that mirror work, that looking at yourself and being able to look at yourself and being able to enjoy what you see, right? And sometimes it's difficult depending on who we are or the headspace we're in or where we are even in life. Sometimes making our being about everybody else helps us to not focus on that thing that is, getting under our skin about our own selves. Michelle says she enjoys spa time, antiquing, and making jewelry. She says, I can get lost and time flies by. See, I admire that. See, I admire people that like have a hobby and just can do some stuff like that by themselves and just enjoy themselves. Now, I think I could do a spa time by myself. That's something I could do by myself and enjoy it. Um, I don't have any hobbies. It's like I really don't. That's something else I've tried to think of, like over the years. Like I've tried to like come up with hobbies, like something to just sort of do that I enjoy. I don't sew. I get aggravated with that. Um, yeah, I gotta think about it some more. Um, so as I was saying, like sometimes when you're in a space where you can't think of how to date yourself, how to just be with yourself, sometimes it's deeper than just I just can't think of something. Sometimes it's I don't want to think of something because if I am left to myself, I have to actually look, I have to actually see myself. Does that make sense? I hope that that makes sense. And sometimes actually looking at yourself and seeing yourself can really be challenging for some of us. So I want us to kind of grapple with a couple of questions tonight because many of us, most of the people that I talk with or who watch Mind the Mental Monday or who comment are adults. They are people who, if they're not dating now, have dated at some point, might be dating someone. Um, and I remember, when you're on the dating scene, which no offense to those of you that are out here in these dating streets, but I'm not kind of I'm so glad that I'm not I'm so glad that I'm not out here dating right now because it's a lot going on. But I'm grateful, to have a be in my 30th year of marriage and happy marriage. Not without its challenges, like any relationship, but 99% of the time, like it's been good because I just happen to be married to, my best friend. It's like he's my best friend who just happens to be my husband, which is a great thing. But if you're out here and you're like you're not with a significant other and you're kind of looking and you're dating and you're kind of trying things out, what is your idea of a good date? What does that look like? So, if you're already, even if you're already in a relationship, or even, if you're in whether it's marriage or whether it's just, if it's a significant other and that's what do the kids call this? Dating exclusively. Um, I live vicariously through my kids with the terms that they use now for the stages of dating. There's the dating, then there's exclusively dating, and then there's putting a title on it, whatever that might be. So if you're exclusively dating, or if you're not, if you're just dating, like what is your idea of a good date? Because if you think about what your idea of a good date is, then maybe you can think about that in terms of even dating your own self. What does that look like? I think for me, if I were to think about, my idea of a good date, I'm a simple kind of person. I like, for me, less is more. I like simplicity. And, simplicity feels good to me. So like a walk on the beach is good. That's definitely something I could do by myself. Or walk in the park, like a nice park. Getting out in nature is something that really helps me to thrive. It helps me to think. It helps me to process emotions that I might be going through. It helps me to get more connected with my creator. It helps me to withstand some things, challenges that I might be facing. It helps me to kind of get through it, push through, navigate some things, right? Michelle said good food, sensory ambiance, like going out in nature. That exactly. Sitting near water, so like going out to the ocean, going, just walking the boardwalk. My husband and I, last Sunday, not yesterday, but last Sunday, went down to Ocean City, New Jersey, which is less than, it's like a 40-minute drive from our house. We don't do it nearly enough to be that close to the shore. But we had a really nice time just walking the boardwalk. I got in all my steps that day, um, all 10,000 of them. We were able to just kind of walk and talk and maybe treat ourselves to some things that we probably didn't need, but it was good. Um, so good food, uh, so doing things like that, those are things that I can do. That is my idea of a good date. Yes, Michelle, I agree with you. Some good food and some outdoor action. If it's a nice, especially if it's really nice outside, the sun is shining, but it's like in the 70s, maybe it's just a little cloud cover, where it's not too hot, but not too cold, but just right. Um, is my idea of a good date. It's my idea of a good time. And so those are things that I could actually do with myself, by myself, and enjoy that time with myself because um when you're in a relationship with someone else, it's important that you maintain your wholeness, and bring your wholeness to the relationship, right? Um, it kind of helps balance things out. It helps the relationship to work when you do things to work on yourself, and then you bring that into the relationship with someone else. it's another way of putting the oxygen mask on yourself first. It's just another example of doing that. And we've talked a whole lot about that. Go, y'all who haven't yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And it's a whole lot up there. So go back and look at some of the older episodes as well. But it's just something for us to sort of keep in mind. So as we're thinking about dating ourselves, that was the first question. What is your idea of a good date? What is your idea? Like, what is a good person? What type of person would you like to be with on a good date? Like, for especially for those of you that are like on the dating scene, like, what would you like a person that you're dating to sort of be like? What would you like for them to contribute to the date? So for me, one of the things that really attracted me to my husband is his mind. Like he has we were just able to talk. Um, I mean, for hours, and it could be about just a vast array of topics, right? We all not we all know, but his thing is politics. He's really into politics, so we could talk politics. We could talk, music. We could talk religion. We could talk Scooby-Doo. Like, I mean, we could talk about a cartoon, like a movie, anything, right? We could just we're just able to have like that breadth of conversation. So good conversation is something that I would look for in a good date, right? So we could also apply that to ourselves. Hey, Maria. Hey, the eye of the storm. I'm not sure who that is, but hey, how you doing? Welcome to Mind the Mental Monday, talking about when was the last time you dated yourself. So welcome aboard. Um, so that's another question that you could think about with regard to yourself. Um, are you a good date? Like what kinds of conversations? Oh, hey, Priscilla. That's my cousin, y'all. Hey, how you doing? I feel like I haven't seen you on here in a while, but maybe I was looking for Priscilla and I didn't realize that your IG name had changed to the Eye of the Storm. So now I know. Good to see you, cuz. Um, but just like you look for certain things in somebody outside of yourself, in other people that you're dating, what are you looking for within yourself? What kinds of conversations might you have with yourself? Like, in when you date yourself, it's not even just about like finding something that you enjoy just doing yourself or enjoy just being with yourself, but what kinds of conversations are you having with yourself, right? And I'm going to say a little sneak peek for next week. Next week, I'm going to be talking about who do you think you are? All right, and that's coming out of this Mind the Mental Monday, because we're going to dive a little bit more into that. Like, who do you think you are? Um, so getting dating yourself and sort of getting away or doing something with yourself that allows you to have conversations with yourself to sort of better understand who you are. Um, and who you are is different than what you do, right? What you do is your occupation. Some people might be like, if you ask them, who are you? They might say, oh, I'm a mom, I'm a dad, I'm a teacher, I'm a pastor, I'm a this, I'm a that. But that doesn't really, that's what you do. And hopefully you're great at it, but it's not who you are, right? And sometimes when you sort of really sit with yourself, when you start thinking about your things that describe your characteristics. Sometimes, if we were to be honest with ourselves, we find there are things within ourselves that we don't really like in particular. And if we were to ask ourselves the question, would you date yourself? Some of us might be like, you know what, as I'm thinking about it, I probably wouldn't date myself if I was somebody else. Well, why is that? What can you do? What kinds of self-work can you do to change that about yourself? What can you do? What kind of work can you do inwardly that will make you look at yourself and do that mirror work and say, you know what, I like me. I like what I see. I like who I am. I like, this personality that I have. I like that I'm a thinker. I like that I'm a fun person. I like that I'm a conversationalist. Whatever it is about yourself, bring that out in yourself. And as I say all the time, sometimes doing that inner self work is not easy. And it's not something that you can always just do by yourself. Sometimes you need somebody who is licensed and who is trained um, to be, um, you need somebody who is licensed and who is trained in an area that can help you navigate those waters, to help you really dig down deep to understand yourself better, and to understand yourself for yourself. And what I mean by that is sometimes, most of the time, I think the way that we come to know ourselves is through the lens of other people. Talked about this before too. At talked about this so many, I don't remember which episode, but we talked about how we view ourselves often through other people's lenses. And so I'm wearing glasses, right? Um, if I were these glasses, these lenses were designed specially for me. They were designed especially for my vision, right? They were designed in a way that allows me to see better. Now, if I take these and give them to somebody else whose vision is different than mine, it's going to cloud their vision, right? And so it's the same thing. Like if you take somebody else's glasses, if you don't wear glasses at all, you got 20/20 vision, and somebody else has like, you know, I don't know, 30/10, just using throwing that out, right? Vision, and you take their glasses and put them on, the chances are you won't be able to see very well because you are trying to set a vision for yourself through somebody else's vision. And their vision for themselves, that might work for them, but that does not mean that it's going to work for you. Somebody else's vision is somebody else's. And even somebody else's vision of you or for you, even if it's your parents. I When my husband and I were raising our children, we were always mindful to understand that we have three children, three biological children, and they are three individuals. They are three distinct individuals. They think differently, they do things differently. They are different human beings. And so we could not fit them all in the same box or any box. So, I mean, they went to three different high schools because they went places that fit their vision for themselves, their dreams for themselves, something that was going to help them to grow in what they were at the time envisioning for their future. And so when we try to take somebody else's vision of us and fit it on ourselves, we put ourselves in these little cramped boxes that are difficult to get out of. So a lot of times, how we think of ourselves, the lens that we see ourselves through comes from something somebody said when we were children. Whatever was pumped into us, at our formative ages about ourselves is what we carry with us even into adulthood. And sometimes, we have to break cycles. We have to break cycles, and that's easier said than, I mean, that's not, it's easier said than done, right? it's not easy to break those cycles. And sometimes because we are so focused on or we have in internally internalized things that negative things that other people have said about us, we have a really difficult time dating ourselves. Because again, it's too difficult for us to have those difficult conversations with ourselves, to look at ourselves and see ourselves for who we were really created to be. And so I want to encourage you to think about those things, like what would be a good date, who would be a good date, and how can you do the work within yourself to be the good date that you want for yourself. Is this making sense? I need y'all to holler at your girl. I need y'all to talk to me. Let me know if any of this is making sense. Um, and I thank you and appreciate you for hanging out with me on this Mind the Mental Monday. So we talked about the questions about the date. Usually, when we are thinking about dates, we're thinking about who the date is with. We're thinking about where we're gonna go on the date. Um, and then once we're on the date, once we've had the date, then we're kind of at a crossroads. We have a decision to make. And it's a decision that both parties have to make. The decision is, are we going to go out again? Are we going to go out on another date? Or is it eh, like I already know this ain't gonna work? It's the same thing when you're dating yourself. If you're at a place, if you're when you date yourself, when you take that time to get with yourself and to do whatever you want to do, go to a movie by yourself, go to the beach, get a massage, whatever it is, by yourself. As you're doing that, having those internal conversations with yourself, can you look at yourself and say, I want to go out with you again? And if you're not at a place where you can say, you know what, I like that date. I like, yes, I had a great time with her or him or whatever you refer to yourself as, right? Whatever that might be. If you can say, yeah, I had a good time, I'm going to do that again, great. But if you're at a place where you're just like, oh, I don't want to go out with that person again. Okay, well, because it's yourself, what is that inner work that I need to do to make myself a good date? What do I need to do? Not a good date for somebody else, not a good date according to somebody else's vision, not a good date according looking through somebody else's lens of what that might be. I'm not even talking about how you look physically. I'm talking about what do you look like internally? What do you look like on the inside? How are you dressed on the inside? Because however you're dressed on the inside is what comes out, right? And so we spend way too much time focusing on what we look like on the outside and way too little time doing the work of what do we look like on the inside? What makes us beautiful on the inside? Because once we are beautiful on the inside, guess what? That inner beauty is going to exude. Have you ever been with somebody who looks good on the outside, but their personality just stinks? Like they just got a funky attitude. They come at you all kind of cross ways and all kind of ways, and they just got an attitude all the time. They could be the most beautiful person physically, but as soon as their mouth opens, it's like they start looking different, right? It's like all them good looks start to change, like right before your eyes. And so once you work, that sounds like a good book title. Which one? How are you? All right. Oh, okay, Maria. I see you throwing out book ideas. All right. Maybe that might be your book. Hint, hint. I love it. I love it. Um, so you want to, be dressed up on the inside. Take care of that inner beauty. Um, and and work towards being beautiful to you. And I think a lot of times, I mean, there are people who bend over backwards and do all kind of backflips and do all kinds of things that are really not them in order to try to attract somebody else. Well, if you got to do all of that, if you got to make all those kind of maneuvers and contort yourself into things that a person that is really not you, then that person is not for you. So, I want you to, as we're thinking about this topic of when was the last time you dated yourself, when was it? Tell me. Tell me in the comments. When was the last time that you dated yourself? And tell me what was that like? What was that experience like? Were you a good date? And then if you weren't a good date, what's your plans for doing something about it? What's your plans for doing that inner work and putting on that new outfit on the inside? When you're doing that inner work, that when you're talking about like doing a new outfit on the inside, honestly, it's really like the emperor's new clothes. Now I'm really dating myself with that fairy tale. But for those of you youngins, for you youngins out there, there's a fairy tale called The Emperor's New Clothes, right? And it's about this emperor who has a designer to come and design something for him, a new outfit for him. But really, the new outfit was no outfit at all. So the emperor in the end was like walking around boastful and proud with no clothes on. And he thought he was wearing a wonderful outfit, but he was actually naked, right? And so that's something that we have to do with ourselves, right? We have to like get naked and strip down to that just strip all the way down and decide you be your own designer. God is your designer, right? God created you on purpose, intentionally, the way that he made you, right? So God already designed you. And so look inward to figure out, okay, what's the outfit? What's the infit? What is the infit that I want to design for myself with God's help to be fully who I was created to be? All right. We got some good comments here. Let's see. Maria says she would take herself to dinner. Um, she says she loves getting dressed and taking herself out to dinner. Um, and she would do it again. I love it. I love it. When I was back in seminary, way back in the day, there was a little Chinese restaurant near my seminary. And so I would go to class straight from work, and I would usually, every once in a while, I would go to this Chinese restaurant. It had a beautiful ambiance. It would have calming music. And at that time of day, there wasn't like a whole lot of people in there, and the food was delicious. And I would just go there by myself and I used to call it a date with me and God. It would just be me and God sitting in a booth, having a meal, and just enjoying the ambiance and just relaxing before I got into the mode of having to go to class. um, so I love it. I love it. Getting dressed up. Michelle said 2 weeks ago she took a sabbatical staycation all alone for 5 days. I love it, Michelle. There are many people who can't be with themselves for a day, let alone 5 days by yourself. That's awesome. I love it. Um, yeah, sometimes just to get with you. Sometimes you have to just do some spring cleaning, right? some spring cleaning of your mind, sweeping up those cobwebs that are in your mind that helps you to design that inner outfit, that infit, that you're designing so that when you go on that date with yourself, you will enjoy the company, you will enjoy the conversation, and you will enjoy the outfit, the infit. You will believe that you are the beautiful human that God created you to be. And so I'm encouraging each one here tonight. Thank y'all so much for the interaction. Like, I love it. I love this. I want more of this. Come back every Monday and interact here on Mind the Mental Monday. But I want to encourage us to think about this. Think about dating yourself. And if it's something that you've never done, that can be one of the new things that you try to do for yourself. Something, if you have never done it before, that'll you'll have two homework assignments completed in one, right? You'll have checked off doing something different this week, and you will have dated yourself, or you will have planned a date for yourself. And so, what's your idea of a good date? List that out. List out your idea. What is your idea of a good date? What type of person would you like to be with? Where would you go? But think about that in terms of yourself, dating yourself. All right. All right. So this has been great, a great Monumental Monday. I'm so excited. I really hope that you all got something out of this. I really pray that you will. Maria says she was taking notes, and I hope that the notes help. I hope that you're able to apply the notes. And Tamika, you missed it. Don't worry, don't worry. It's going to be here. It's going to be here on IG. It's going to be, or are you saying you missed dating yourself? Or are you saying you missed this episode? If you're saying you missed this episode, don't worry. You can catch it. It's going to be here on my IG page. It's going to be on my Facebook page. It's going to be on my YouTube channel. Um, it's going to be on my YouTube channel. Go to at Benita Weathers 329. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can catch this episode and a bunch of others that maybe you missed as well. All right. So I'm looking forward to interacting with you all again next Monday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is Mind the Mental Monday. Next week, we're going to be talking about coming from the question, who do you think you are? And it's going to be a doozy. It's actually going to be almost like a part two to this. It's going to just dig a little deeper um, in that realm. All right. So come check us out next Monday, 8 o'clock, and check us out every Monday, Mind the Mental Monday. This is Reverend Benita Weathers. Also, if you're interested in life coaching, hit me up. You can message me, and we can schedule a time to talk about your life coach needs. I'm here to help you retool, refuel, redesign your life, especially if you're over 45. All right. All right. So God bless you all. Have a wonderful, phenomenal night and week, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Good night.